I'm going to show you all something very scary. Are you ready? It's a red label. And I know that for a lot of collectors, that's not something they want to see, but I'm here to tell you that the Greatest Hits label is nothing to be afraid of. In fact, you can use that Greatest Hits label to get yourself a fantastic collection of games for your PlayStation 2 for under $100. What's going on, everybody? I'm Jay. Welcome back to the channel. I'm glad you're here. If you're a new viewer, thanks for stopping by. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. I'm super stoked that you're here. PS2 month is rolling on, and today we are going back to my $100 challenge series where I build you a fantastic collection for under $100. And today we're putting just a slight spin, a bit of a twist, if you will. And what we're doing is we are going back to the PlayStation 2, which is one of my all-time favorite consoles, and this is, of course, PS2 month. And we are looking at the Greatest Hits selection, and I am building you a collection of Greatest Hits games for under $100. We've got a little bit of something here for everybody. So what do you say? Let's go over to the PS2, and let's start things off with one of the best racing games of all time. Now, I have to admit, I'm not the biggest fan of the Gran Turismo series because I just don't get heavily into simulation racing games. But Gran Turismo 4 is a really well done game. If you're a gearhead, this game's for you. Like, it's a great thing to pick up. If you just like racing games, this one's actually pretty good too, because it's a really solid racing title. There's a massive car list. Like, I'm actually driving a 68 Karmann Ghia here from Volkswagen. It's one of my grandfather's favorite cars. And it's just something that I can sit back and enjoy because it doesn't feel too insanely fast or too ridiculously over the top like some racing games can be. It's just enjoyable. The environments are great. Like, I'm actually kind of gobsmacked at how good this game looks for being a PS2 title. Like, yeah, there's some jaggies, and it doesn't exactly look as great as something like a Forza Horizon 5 or anything like that, but it's still a solid, beautiful-looking game with some really fun gameplay and some really stellar design. It's such a great title to pick up at $9.75. A sub-$10 racing game like this is well worth the investment for a collection.
Round one, fight.
Oh my god, I love Tekken Tag Tournament so much, and I know for a lot of folks they just want a straight-up standard Tekken experience, but Tekken Tag was one of those games that I played and wore out on my original PS2. This was something that I used to play constantly with my friend Chris, and yes, when I played as Eddie Gordo because I am awful at this series, but it just worked. It was fun. And it's still fun today. Like, being able to tag out and swap out your team a little bit as you go is just a great experience. I loved it in Marvel Capcom 2. I love it in Tekken Tag Tournament. I think the cast of characters is great. I think the gameplay is spectacular. It still looks good, despite the fact that it is a really old title at this point. And it's worth every penny of the $8.39 Greatest Hits version. Absolutely fantastic game. If you love the Tekken series and you haven't played this one because it's a little bit different than what you like, you should check it out anyway. It's a really fun game. You can't go wrong with a fun mascot kart racer, and one of the best on the PlayStation 2 is Crash Nitro Kart. Now, it doesn't have the same type of sophistication that something like Mario Kart does, and other releases in the mascot kart racing game may have done better, but I'm not going to lie to you, there's still a lot of fun to be had with Crash Nitro Kart. First off, the cast of characters is great. The level designs are fantastic. The power-ups are a lot of fun. And the best part is it's just easy to pick up, play, and understand. It doesn't try to do anything terribly out of the ordinary. It just delivers a solid, fun kart racing experience that I don't think anyone's really going to complain about. At $8.95 for the Greatest Hits copy of this game, it's a wonderful addition to a library because it's something that anyone can pick up, play, and enjoy. This is my first time playing Final Fantasy X-2, and it was just a case where the first time I had played Final Fantasy X years ago, it just didn't click for me, and I never went back to it until I got the Switch version. And I am really enjoying my time on Final Fantasy X on the Switch, So I figured, why not? Let's give 10-2 a try here, and we can include it on this list, because I know it's a little bit different than the original Final Fantasy X, and that does seem true. But I really like the focus of the characters. I really like that it's a lot happier. I really like that it's kind of light, it's bright, it's fun, it's silly. Nothing wrong with that in video games. It's a very fun game, and it is so cheap. It's a $5.18 game, complete in box, and I mean, you can't go wrong with that. From what I've played so far, it's a wonderful game, and it looks really good for something as old as it is. Definitely worth checking out, definitely worth picking up. And hey, I don't think you can go wrong getting a Square Enix game for like under $6. That's a pretty good score. Confession time. I never played Twisted Metal Black before recording this footage here, and I am playing it specifically because I'm watching the series on Peacock, and it's fantastic, and Twisted Metal Black is the basis for the series in a roundabout way. It's the only game that John Doe appears in, which is Anthony Mackie's character in the Twisted Metal series, and I'm really enjoying this. Now, I have never been a huge fan of the Twisted Metal series. I didn't enjoy the PS1 games, and I went into this one not expecting to enjoy this one, and despite the fact that I am ridiculously bad at this game, it's fun. Yeah, I played as Sweet Tooth. I was cliche. I went in and played as him, but it's just a really well-designed combat racing game. It's fast. The controls are a little fluid, but that's okay because I think it's supposed to feel a little bit out of control at all times, and I'm just stoked to be having this game and to be able to play it. It's a $14.61 greatest hits title, and it is the second most expensive one on the list, but I do think that this one is well worth picking up, especially if you're a fan of the series or just want to have a fun combat racing game. I really hate tank controls. It's why I don't like early Resident Evil games, so it might make you a little curious why I'm putting Onimusha 2 on here, and it's because Capcom realized that, well, if we're going to do tank controls, we got to make some additions here. And one of the big key additions to Onimusha 2 was including the quick turnaround button. And that makes all the difference in the world, because you don't just have to stand there spinning around on your heels trying to get into combat. You just tap the right 2 shoulder button, and boom, you're back in combat. You're facing the opposite direction. The combat in this game is fantastic. The look is gorgeous. The voice acting is a little bad, but it's okay because the rest of the game is superb. I love the Onimusha series, and I especially love this entry on the PlayStation 2 because it really flexed the muscles of the console and showed what it was capable of doing. If you haven't played the Onimusha series, it's definitely worth checking out, especially at a $10.74 greatest hits title, because it's a fantastic game. It's one of Capcom's signature series that has kind of fallen by the wayside, and I think more people should probably check the Onimusha series out. If you watched my EA Sports Big ranking video, having Freakstyle on this list might surprise you a little bit, but as I have said in the comments numerous times ever since I made that video, Freakstyle has been the one that I have gone back to the most. If I had to rank the game today, I'd probably put it at an A because it's just over the top and fun. It's a motocross game. It's just the signature experience of what EA Sports Big should be. I wanted to suggest an SSX game here, but I always suggest SSX on lists like this, and I wanted to do something a little bit different and show an alternative to what most people consider to be the best racing game from EA Sports Big. Freakstyle is fantastic. It's a ridiculously fun and ridiculously action-packed racing game that just works. And it's dirt cheap. It's $9.99 for the greatest hits copy. Definitely worth checking out. Definitely worth picking up. And I admit it, I was wrong about my rating of Freakstyle.
Take the wind into account.
For some people, they have Mario Golf, but for me, it's Hot Shots Golf. That is my favorite arcade golf series, and Hot Shots Golf 4 on the PS2 is amazing. The game is such a great golf experience. Like, it's It doesn't lean so far into the arcade experience that it's kind of zany and kind of ridiculous. It's still golf at its core, but it does so by being a little bit tongue-in-cheek, by, yes, at times being a little bit annoying with the characterization and stuff like that, but it doesn't try to be anything it's not. It's just a fun game with a solid golf experience that just works. If you like golf games and you want to find something that isn't expensive, I mean, this is only $6.12 complete in box, you should probably check it out because the Hot Shots Golf series is marvelous, and 4 is one of the best. I remember when Black released, because this was a game that absolutely captured the hearts and minds of people in QA when I worked at EA. It was released by Volition, which was an EA studio at the time, and it was such a remarkable first-person shooter because it did something that I hadn't really seen an FPS do before. It really just embraced the cinematic nature of the game. Now, this is basically a movie come to life. I mean, Michael Giacchino did the music in the game. It's pretty cool, the pedigree behind it. And in between each level, you're going to get these awesome live-action interstitials that really set the stage for the story that you're going to be told. It was a first-person shooter that didn't just rely on over-the-top action. It wanted to tell an important story, and I think it really, really nailed it. The best part about this game being a greatest hits game is that it's only a $10 game. I've spent far much more money on FPSs that didn't deliver the level of story and sophistication that Black does, and I don't think you're going to be disappointed picking this one up. I couldn't do a PlayStation 2 list and not include a mascot platformer on it. As much as I love the first Sly Cooper game, Sly 2 Band of Thieves is really where the series kind of discovered itself and really made itself something special. The first game is great, but it's fairly standard collect-a-thon 3D platformer, but the second one introduces multiple playable characters that all do something differently than each other. Bentley plays different than Murray, Murray plays different than Sly, Sly plays different than Bentley. And it goes from being just kind of a straightforward action platformer to incorporating stealth elements into the game, which I really enjoy. I adore the Sly Cooper series, but I think Sly 2 Band of Thieves is probably my favorite game because I do feel it is the strongest one in the series. This is the most expensive game on this list. It comes in at $15.75, but for something that is such a wonderful mascot platformer and does really nothing wrong whatsoever with the way it plays, Sly 2 Band of Thieves is absolutely worth picking up. There you have it, my friends, a fantastic collection of PS2 games that you can get for under $100, all of which are going to have that terrifying red label on it. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite game is that I featured in today's video. Let me know if there's anything that I didn't feature from the Greatest Hits collection that you think should have been on this list. And until next time, remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.